Maya Chin had grown used to the stairs. As she walked through the military base coffee shop that Tuesday morning, she could feel eyes following her every step. The intricate tattoo sleeve that covered her left arm drew attention wherever she went: swirling dragons, cherry blossoms, and what appeared to be random symbols that most people dismissed as decorative Asian art. "Look at that girl with all the ink," she heard a young recruit whisper to his friend. "Bet her parents are thrilled she ruined her skin like that." Maya kept walking, her expression unchanged. She had heard all before: the whispers, the judgment, the assumptions that someone with visible tattoos couldn't possibly be serious about their military career. What these people didn't know was that every line, every symbol, every carefully placed image on her arm told a story that ran deeper than they could imagine. She was new to Camp Pendleton, having just transferred from a smaller base in North Carolina. As a communication specialist, she kept mostly to herself, focusing on her work with satellite systems and encrypted messaging. Her colleagues were polite, but distant. The tattoos made her an outsider before she even had a chance to prove herself. In the communication center, Maya settled at her workstation, pulling on a long-sleeved uniform shirt to cover her arms. It was regulation during duty hours, but she often wondered if people would treat her differently if they could see past the surface. Her supervisor, Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, was one of the few who seemed to judge her by her work rather than her appearance. "Chin, good work on that encryption protocol yesterday," Rodriguez said, stopping by her desk. "Command was impressed with how quickly you decoded that training exercise." "Thank you, Staff Sergeant," Maya replied, grateful for the recognition. It felt good to be valued for her skills rather than scrutinized for her choices. During her lunch break, Maya found herself in the base gym. Physical fitness had always been her escape, a way to clear her mind and push her body to its limits. As she moved through her workout routine, she noticed a group of Navy SEALs training in the adjacent area. Their presence commanded respect throughout the base. Everyone knew these were among the most elite soldiers in the military. One particular SEAL caught her attention, not because he was looking at her, but because he wasn't. Commander Jake Mitchell moved through his exercises with a focused intensity that Maya recognized in herself. While others might glance over at her tattoos with curiosity or judgment, he seemed entirely absorbed in his training. There was something refreshing about being in the same space as someone who wasn't trying to figure her out based on her appearance. After her workout, Maya headed to the commissary to grab supplies for her barracks room. The automatic doors slid open, and she found herself behind two military wives in the checkout line. They were discussing the base's upcoming Family Day event, their conversation light and friendly until one of them spotted Maya. "I just don't understand why young people think they need to mark up their bodies like that," one woman said, not bothering to lower her voice. "It's so unprofessional. I hope my daughter never thinks that's acceptable." The other woman nodded in agreement. "My husband says there are strict regulations about tattoos for a reason. It reflects poorly on the whole unit." Maya felt her cheeks burn, but she kept her composure. She had learned long ago that responding to such comments usually made things worse. Instead, she focused on the items in her cart and tried to tune out their conversation. But their words stung more than she wanted to admit. That evening, Maya sat in her small barracks room, looking at her reflection in the mirror above her desk. The tattoo on her arm was visible again now that she was in civilian clothes. She traced one of the symbols with her finger, a small character that most people assumed was purely decorative. If only they knew what it really meant. Her phone buzzed with a text from her younger brother David, back home in California. "Hey sis, how's the new base treating you? Making any friends yet?" Maya stared at the message for a long moment before typing back. "Still settling in. You know how it is with the tattoos. People have opinions. Their loss," David replied immediately. "Anyone who judges you for that doesn't deserve to know the real story anyway." He was right, but it didn't make the daily interactions any easier. Maya had chosen to get the tattoo for deeply personal reasons, but she had never anticipated how it would affect her military career. The irony wasn't lost on her that in an organization built on brotherhood and sacrifice, she often felt most alone. The next morning brought a new challenge. During the daily briefing, their commanding officer announced that the base would be hosting a joint training exercise with several SEAL teams. Communication specialists would be working directly with the special operations units to test new tactical communication systems. "This is a high-visibility assignment," the officer explained. "Your performance will be evaluated not just by our command, but by some of the most elite units in the military. I expect nothing but excellence. Maya felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was exactly the kind of opportunity she had been hoping for, a chance to prove her capabilities on a larger stage. But it also meant more scrutiny, more chances for her appearance to overshadow her abilities. As the briefing concluded, Staff Sergeant Rodriguez approached her. "Chun, I'm putting you on the primary communications team for this exercise. Your technical skills are exactly what we need." "Thank you, Staff Sergeant. I won't let you down," Maya responded, meaning every word. "I know you won't." But Maya, Rodriguez paused, using her first name, which was unusual for him. "Don't let the noise get to you. Focus on the mission. That's all that matters." His words carried more weight than he probably realized. Maya nodded, understanding that he had likely overheard some of the comments about her tattoos. It meant a lot to know that at least one person in her chain of command saw past the surface. As Maya prepared for the training exercise, she couldn't help but wonder if this would finally be her chance to show everyone what she was really capable of. Little did she know that within a few days, everything she thought she knew about judgment and perception would be turned upside down. The base buzzed with activity as teams prepared for the joint exercise. Maya spent extra hours reviewing communication protocols and testing equipment, determined to perform flawlessly. She had no way of knowing that among the SEAL teams arriving for the exercise was Commander Mitchell, the same man she had noticed in the gym, who had intrigued her with his focused indifference to her appearance. As she went to sleep that night, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that the upcoming exercise would be different from anything she had experienced before. She was right, but not in any way she could have imagined. The joint training exercise began at dawn on a crisp Thursday morning. Maya arrived at the Communications Command Center 30 minutes early, her equipment checked and double-checked. Today, she would be the primary liaison between ground teams and command, responsible for maintaining secure communications during a complex urban warfare simulation. Commander Jake Mitchell stood with his SEAL team near the staging area, reviewing mission parameters. At 34, he had earned his reputation through countless successful operations, and his men respected him not just for his tactical brilliance, but for his unwavering commitment to bringing everyone home safely. He noticed the communications specialist from the base gym, the woman with the distinctive tattoo sleeve, setting up equipment nearby. "Sir, that's our comms liaison," his second-in-command, Lieutenant Torres, mentioned. "Specialist Chun. Heard she's good with the technical stuff, but some of the base personnel have been talking about her ink." Mitchell's jaw tightened slightly. He had little patience for soldiers who focused on anything other than competence and character. "What they say about her work?" "Nothing but positive, sir." Rodriguez vouches for her completely. "Then, that's all that matters, Lieutenant." As the exercise commenced, Maya found herself coordinating communications for 6 different teams simultaneously. Her fingers flew across multiple keyboards, managing encrypted channels, satellite uplinks, and tactical frequency coordination. The complexity would have overwhelmed many specialists, but Maya thrived in high-pressure situations. "Bravo team, your frequency is clear." "Charlie team, switch to channel 7 for extraction coordination." She spoke in her headset, her voice calm and professional despite the chaos of the simulation. Commander Mitchell's team was conducting a particularly challenging urban assault scenario when their primary communication link failed. Static filled their radios, cutting them off from command at a critical moment in the exercise. "We've lost comms," Torres reported. "Request immediate technical support." Maya heard the distress call and immediately began running diagnostics on their channel. Within seconds, she identified the problem, a software conflict in a new encrypted system that was causing signal interference. "Bravo team, this is base communications. I'm uploading a temporary patch to your system. Stand by for reconnection in 30 seconds. Her fingers moved rapidly across her keyboard, writing code on the fly to bypass the software conflict. It was the kind of technical improvisation that separated good communications specialists from exceptional ones. "Base communications, Bravo team. Signal is crystal clear. Outstanding work." Mitchell's voice came through the restore channel. Maya allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. This was why she loved her job. The technical challenges, the pressure, the knowledge that her skills could make the difference between mission success and failure. Throughout the morning, Maya's performance drew attention from the exercise observers. She solved 3 more technical problems in real time, coordinated a complex extraction under simulated enemy fire, and maintained perfect communication protocols even when multiple systems failed simultaneously. During the lunch break, Maya stepped outside to get some fresh air. The morning had been intense, but successful. She felt confident about her performance and hoped it would help establish a reputation based on competence rather than appearance. She was checking her equipment when she overheard a conversation between several officers from visiting units. "Did you see that communications girl with all the tattoos?" one officer said. "Looks like she belongs in a biker bar, not a military operation." "I don't understand how command allows that kind of appearance," another added. "What kind of message does it send about our standards?" "Probably some gang affiliation." "You can't tell me those aren't gang symbols," a third officer contributed. Maya's hands stilled on her equipment. The assumptions hurt more than outright insults because they revealed how quickly people constructed entire narratives about her without knowing anything about her background or character. What these officers didn't know was that Maya had grown up in a military family. Her father had been a decorated Marine who served 3 tours in Afghanistan. Her mother was a military nurse who had met her father during his recovery from an IED injury. Maya had been raised with military values, discipline, and an unshakable respect for service and sacrifice. The tattoo that drew so much attention told the story of her family service. The dragons represented protection and strength, qualities her parents had demonstrated throughout their military careers. The cherry blossoms honored her grandmother, who had survived the bombing of Hiroshima and later married an American soldier, bridging 2 cultures with courage and love. And the symbols that people assumed were decorative actually spelled out coordinates. The exact location where her father had been injured saving his squad members, an act that earned him the Silver Star. Every element of her tattoo was deeply meaningful, connected to military service and family honor. But Maya had learned that explaining this to critics often came across as defensive, so she rarely shared the true story behind her ink. "Chun, you ready for the afternoon scenarios?" Staff Sergeant Rodriguez asked, approaching with a concerned expression. He had clearly overheard the officer's comments as well. "Always ready, Staff Sergeant," Maya replied, forcing her focus back to the mission. "Good, because this afternoon is going to test everything we've got." The afternoon brought the exercise's most challenging scenarios. Maya found herself managing communications for a complex hostage rescue simulation involving multiple SEAL teams, helicopter support, and civilian evacuation protocols. The stress level was intense, with commanders shouting updates, pilots requesting clearance, and ground teams needing immediate tactical support. In the middle of the chaos, Commander Mitchell's team encountered an unexpected complication. Their target building had been booby-trapped with signal jammers that disabled their standard communication equipment. They were cut off from command at the most critical point of their mission. "All teams, Bravo has gone dark," the exercise controller announced. Attempting to re-establish contact, Maya immediately began working to penetrate the jamming signals. Standard protocols weren't working. The simulated enemy had sophisticated equipment that blocked conventional frequencies. She needed to think creatively, using her deep understanding of signal propagation and frequency manipulation. "I can get them back online," she told the exercise controller, "but I need to use an unconventional approach that requires manual signal boosting from their location." "What do you need?" "Someone has to physically carry a signal booster to within 50 meters of their position and manually establish a relay link." The exercise controller looked skeptical. "That would require someone to move through the simulation's most dangerous area, and they need to understand the technical setup." "I can do it," Maya said without hesitation. "I know the equipment inside and out, and I'm qualified for field operations." Within minutes, Maya was suited up in tactical gear, carrying specialized communication equipment toward the urban simulation area. The scenario required her to move through enemy territory while avoiding detection, reach Mitchell's team, and establish the communication link that would allow them to complete their mission. As she moved through the training area, Maya drew on all her military training. She had qualified as expert marksman, completed advanced field training, and excelled in tactical movement. The tattoos on her arm were hidden beneath her tactical sleeves, but the strength and discipline they represented guided every step she took. She reached the target building without detection, locating Mitchell's team through careful observation and tactical positioning. Using hand signals, she communicated her presence and began setting up the relay equipment. Commander Mitchell watched in surprise as the communications specialist worked efficiently to establish their link. Her movements were precise, professional, and completely focused on the mission. Within minutes, she had restored their communications and was preparing to withdraw to a safe position. "Bravo, team. You have full communications restored," came Maya's voice through their renewed link. "Outstanding work, base communications," Mitchell responded, genuine admiration in his voice. As the afternoon scenarios concluded, Maya's performance had earned recognition from multiple unit commanders. She had solved every technical challenge, maintained perfect communication protocols under extreme pressure, and demonstrated field capabilities that went far beyond her primary specialization. But even as colleagues congratulated her on her performance, Maya noticed the same officers from lunch still looking at her with skepticism. Outstanding performance hadn't changed their assumptions about her character or professionalism. The prejudice ran deeper than her abilities could easily overcome. That evening, as teams gathered for the exercise debrief, Maya wondered if she would ever find a place where her contributions mattered more than her appearance. She had proven herself technically and tactically, but the whispers and stares continued. Little did she know that Commander Mitchell had been observing not just her technical skills, but her character under pressure. And, unlike the others, he was beginning to see past the surface to recognize something familiar. The unmistakable qualities of a soldier who understood service, sacrifice, and honor at the deepest level. The evening debriefing session took place in the base's main conference room, with representatives from all participating units. Maya sat near the back, still in her tactical gear from the afternoon field operation. Her performance had been flawless, but she could feel the familiar weight of judgment from some of the assembled officers. Commander Mitchell took his seat with the other team leaders, his mind still processing what he had witnessed. The communications specialist had demonstrated capabilities that went far beyond her official role. Her tactical movement, field awareness, and calm professionalism under pressure reminded him of seasoned special operations personnel. Today's exercise exceeded expectations across all parameters. The base commander began. "However, I want to specifically recognize the communications team for exceptional performance under challenging conditions." Staff Sergeant Rodriguez stood to present the communications summary. Specialist Chen managed 6 simultaneous tactical networks, solved 4 critical technical failures in real time, and successfully conducted a high-risk field operation to restore communications to our special operations teams. Polite applause filled the room, but Maya noticed several officers exchanging glances. She had learned to read these subtle communications, the raised eyebrows, the slight head shakes, the expressions that said impressive, but still questionable. After the official debrief, people began gathering in smaller groups to discuss the day's events. Maya was packing her equipment when she overheard Colonel Harrison, one of the visiting commanders, speaking with his aide. "I'll grant you she's technically competent," Harrison said, "but appearance standards exist for a reason. What happens when she's representing our military in joint international operations? Those tattoos send the wrong message about our professionalism." "Sir, her performance today was exceptional," the aide ventured. "Performance is just one factor. Image matters, Lieutenant. We're not just soldiers, we're ambassadors for American military excellence." Maya's hands stilled on her equipment case. She had heard variations of this argument countless times, but it still stung. The suggestion that her tattoos somehow diminished American military excellence felt like a personal attack on everything she and her family had sacrificed for their country. Commander Mitchell had been listening to the same conversation, and he found himself increasingly irritated. He had served with some of the finest soldiers in the world, and he knew that true military excellence had nothing to do with appearance and everything to do with character, competence, and commitment. "Colonel," Mitchell interrupted, approaching the group, "I couldn't help but overhear. With respect, sir, I've seen Specialist Chen's work firsthand today. Her tactical awareness and technical skills are among the best I've encountered." Harrison turned to face Mitchell, clearly not expecting to be challenged. "Commander Mitchell, isn't it? I'm not questioning her technical abilities. I'm talking about broader representation issues. Sir, in my experience, the soldiers who represent our military best are those who understand service at the deepest level. That understanding comes from character, not appearance." The tension in the conversation was becoming apparent to others nearby. Maya felt a mix of gratitude and embarrassment that someone was defending her, but also concerned that the discussion was drawing more attention. "Commander, you're certainly entitled to your opinion," Harrison replied curtly. "But standards exist for a reason." Mitchell was about to respond when Maya approached the group. She had decided that avoiding confrontation was only perpetuating the problem. "Excuse me, sirs," she said respectfully. "I couldn't help but hear my name mentioned. If there are concerns about my performance or professionalism, I'd appreciate the opportunity to address them directly." Harrison looked uncomfortable at being confronted so directly, while Mitchell watched Maya with interest. Her approach was respectful, but confident, showing neither defensive anger nor submissive acceptance of criticism. "Specialist, no one is questioning your technical performance," Harrison said. The discussion was about broader military image considerations. "I understand, sir. And I respect that appearance standards are important for unit cohesion and public representation. My tattoos are in compliance with current regulations, and I maintain professional appearance standards during all duty hours." Maya paused, making a decision that she rarely made. "Sir, if I may, my tattoos aren't random decorations. They honor my family's military service. My father's Silver Star for valor in Afghanistan, my grandmother's survival of Hiroshima, and her marriage to an American soldier, and my own commitment to the values they taught me." The information clearly surprised Harrison, but Maya continued before he could respond. "I understand that not everyone will see past surface appearances, sir, but I hope my service record will speak for itself over time." Mitchell watched the exchange with growing respect for Maya's composure and dignity. She was defending herself without being defensive, providing context without making excuses, and maintaining military courtesy while standing her ground. That's important context, specialist," Harrison admitted, looking somewhat uncomfortable. "Thank you for sharing that." As the conversation concluded and people began to disperse, Mitchell found himself walking alongside Maya toward the parking area. "That took courage," he said simply. Maya looked surprised that he was speaking to her. "It was just honesty, sir. Sometimes people need context to understand that there's more to the story." "Most people don't bother to look for the story," Mitchell replied. "They make assumptions and stick with them." They walked in comfortable silence for a moment before Maya asked, "Sir, can I ask you something? You've seen my work today, but you don't seem to have the same reaction to my appearance that others do. Is that because of your special operations background?" Mitchell considered the question carefully. Special operations teaches you to look past surface appearances because your life often depends on accurately assessing people's true capabilities. "But honestly, it's also because I've learned that the most impressive soldiers often don't look like what people expect." Maya nodded, understanding the deeper meaning in his words. "Can I ask you something?" Mitchell said. "The coordinates in your tattoo, Afghanistan, Sector 7, grid reference 847. Maya stopped walking, her eyes widening in shock. "You can read the coordinates? I spent 2 tours in that region. I recognize the grid system." Mitchell's expression had grown serious. "That's where the IED hit 1st Battalion, 7th Marines in 2018. 7 wounded, 1 Kia." Maya's voice was barely a whisper. "Staff Sergeant Chun, 1st Platoon. My father." Mitchell stopped walking entirely, his mind racing through memories. "Chun? Michael Chun? The NCO who dragged 3 wounded Marines to safety before the second device detonated. You knew him?" Maya's voice was filled with emotion. "I was part of the extraction team that pulled your father's unit out," Mitchell said quietly. "He saved those Marines' lives. The Silver Star was well-deserved." For a moment, both soldiers stood in silence, connected by a shared understanding of sacrifice and loss that transcended rank, appearance, or any other surface consideration. "He never talks about it much," Maya said finally. "But that day changed everything for our family. It's why I joined the military, why I got the tattoo. I wanted to carry forward what he started." Mitchell felt a profound shift in his understanding. The tattoos weren't just decorative art or even simple family tribute. They were a deeply personal commitment to military service and sacrifice. Every symbol carried the weight of family history and personal dedication. "Your father would be proud of what you accomplished today," Mitchell said sincerely. Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she maintained her composure. "Thank you, sir. That means more than you know." As they continued walking, Mitchell realized that this conversation had revealed something important not just about Maya, but about his own assumptions and the assumptions of others. Here was a soldier whose commitment to service ran deeper than most, whose family had paid prices that few could understand, and whose professional excellence was being questioned because of artwork that actually represented the highest military values. Specialist Chun, Mitchell said as they reached their vehicles, I have a feeling this won't be the last time our paths cross. The military is smaller than people think, especially when you're dealing with people who truly understand what service means. Maya smiled, genuinely for the first time in days. I hope you're right, sir. And thank you, not just for defending me earlier, but for seeing past the surface. As they parted ways, neither could have predicted that within 24 hours, Maya's hidden story would be revealed in a way that would change not just how others saw her, but how she saw herself and her place in the military community. The evening's events had planted seeds of understanding, but the real revelation was yet to come. The next morning brought unexpected news that would change everything. Maya was reviewing communication logs in her office when Staff Sergeant Rodriguez burst through the door with an urgency she had never seen from him before. Chin, drop everything. We have a real-world emergency, he said, his face grave. There's been an earthquake in the Philippines, magnitude 7.2. American citizens are trapped, including military dependents from Subic Bay. We're mounting an immediate humanitarian rescue operation. Maya's training kicked in instantly. What's our role, Staff Sergeant? You're being assigned to the primary rescue coordination team. Your linguistic capabilities and communication expertise are specifically requested for this operation. How's your Tagalog? Fluent, Staff Sergeant. My mother's family is from Manila. Rodriguez nodded grimly. That's what I told Command. This isn't an exercise, Chun. American lives are on the line, including children. The rescue teams are launching in 4 hours. Within minutes, the entire base transformed into a coordinated emergency response center. Maya found herself in the main command center, surrounded by senior officers, rescue specialists, and the same SEAL teams that had participated in yesterday's exercise. Commander Mitchell was there, his face focused and determined as he reviewed rescue protocols with his team. The situation was dire. The earthquake had triggered landslides that blocked major roads to several remote areas where American families had been vacationing. Communication with these areas had been lost, and local rescue infrastructure was overwhelmed by the disaster's scope. Specialist Chun, the mission commander, addressed her. You'll be our primary communication link with local rescue authorities and civilian populations. Your language skills may be the difference between life and death for those families. Maya nodded, understanding the weight of responsibility. This was exactly the kind of mission she had trained for, the reason she had developed expertise in both communications technology and multiple languages. As the rescue teams prepared for deployment, Maya coordinated with Philippine rescue authorities, establishing communication protocols and gathering critical information about the trapped Americans. Her ability to speak fluent Tagalog immediately proved invaluable as she communicated with local officials who had limited English capabilities. We have confirmed locations for 3 groups of Americans, Maya reported to the mission commander. 2 families with children in a collapsed resort area, and a group of military dependents trapped in a village cut off by landslides. Commander Mitchell approached her station. What's the communication situation with the trapped groups? Sporadic cell phone contact with 2 groups, but the infrastructure is failing rapidly. We need to establish reliable field communications as soon as rescue teams reach them. Mitchell studied the tactical maps spread across Maya's workstation. The terrain is going to be challenging for standard communication equipment. We'll need someone who can adapt technology in the field. I can handle field adaptations, sir. I've trained for disaster response scenarios. The mission commander overheard the conversation. Specialist, this is a dangerous deployment. The aftershocks are continuing, and the terrain is unstable. We typically don't deploy communication specialists to active disaster zones. Maya looked directly at the commander. Sir, with respect, those families need someone who can communicate with local authorities and adapt our equipment to local infrastructure. I have the technical skills and language capabilities they need. Commander Mitchell studied Maya's expression, recognizing the same determination he had seen in yesterday's exercise. Sir, I can vouch for Specialist Chen's field capabilities. Her performance yesterday demonstrated tactical awareness beyond her primary specialization. The mission commander was clearly torn between following standard protocols and utilizing Maya's unique skill set in a critical situation. "Sir," Maya added, "my mother's family lost everything in Typhoon Haiyan. I understand what these families are going through, and I have personal connections in the Philippines that could help with local coordination." After a moment of consideration, the commander made his decision. "Chun, you're attached to the primary rescue team, but you follow SEAL team protocols and safety procedures without question." "Understood, sir." Within 2 hours, Maya found herself on a military transport aircraft heading toward the Philippines, surrounded by rescue specialists and medical personnel. She had quickly changed into field tactical gear, her communication equipment specially adapted for disaster response operations. During the flight, she worked continuously with Philippine authorities to coordinate landing zones and establish communication network for the rescue operation. Her ability to communicate directly in Tagalog eliminated translation delays that could cost precious time in life-or-death situations. Commander Mitchell, seated across from her in the aircraft, watched Maya work with growing admiration. She seamlessly switched between English and Tagalog while coordinating technical details, managed multiple communication systems simultaneously, and maintained calm professionalism despite the high-stress situation. "Chun," he said during a brief break in her communications, "your family connections in the Philippines. How extensive are they?" "My mother has 7 siblings still living there, sir. 2 are in local government. 1 runs a construction company that does disaster relief work. They've already mobilized local resources to help with our operation." Mitchell realized that Maya wasn't just bringing language skills to this mission. She was bringing deep cultural connections and local knowledge that could be crucial for navigation and coordination in the disaster zone. As their aircraft approached the Philippines, Maya received an urgent communication from local authorities. "Sir, I'm getting reports that one of the trapped American families has a critically injured child. Local medical facilities are overwhelmed, and they need immediate evacuation." "What's the medical situation?" Mitchell asked. Maya continued communicating in rapid Tagalog, gathering critical details. 8-year-old girl, suspected internal injuries from building collapse. Her father is Master Sergeant Williams from Subic Bay. They have maybe 6 hours before her condition becomes life-threatening. The urgency of the situation crystallized everyone's focus. This wasn't just about rescue operations anymore. It was about saving a child's life under incredibly challenging conditions. "Can local rescuers reach them?" Mitchell inquired. Maya shook her head after receiving another update. "Landslides have made the roads impassable for their equipment. They need helicopter extraction, but the local helicopters can't navigate to the location safely due to unstable terrain and communication barriers." Mitchell looked at the mission maps, calculating distances and timing. "We can reach them, but it's going to require precise coordination with local authorities and perfect communication throughout the extraction." As their aircraft prepared for landing, Maya realized that this mission would test every skill she had developed throughout her military career. The technical expertise, language abilities, cultural knowledge, and field training were all going to be essential for success. But as she checked her equipment one final time, Maya caught sight of her tattoo sleeve, now partially visible as she had rolled up her sleeves to work more effectively. For the first time since joining the military, the meaningful symbols on her arm felt like sources of strength rather than objects of judgment. The dragons representing protection, the cherry blossoms honoring resilience, and the coordinates marking sacrifice. All of these elements of her family's story were about to guide her through the most important mission of her career. As the aircraft touched down in the Philippines, Maya understood that this emergency would either prove her capabilities beyond any doubt or reveal the limits of her training under ultimate pressure. Either way, she was ready to give everything she had to save American lives. Commander Mitchell, watching her prepare for what would likely be the most dangerous operation of her career, found himself hoping that the military community would finally recognize what he had already seen, that Specialist Maya-chan was exactly the kind of soldier the military needed, regardless of what anyone thought about her appearance. The real test was about to begin, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The rescue operation launched immediately upon landing in the Philippines. Maya found herself in a helicopter flying toward the most remote crash site, where Master Sergeant Williams' family was trapped with their critically injured daughter. The terrain below was a maze of landslides, damaged infrastructure, and swollen rivers that had transformed familiar landscapes into dangerous obstacles. Commander Mitchell's SEAL team was handling the tactical aspects of the rescue, while Maya managed all communications between the helicopter, ground rescue teams, and local authorities. Her ability to communicate directly with Filipino rescue coordinators was proving essential as they navigated through rapidly changing conditions. "Chun, we're approaching the landing zone," the pilot announced. But local authorities are reporting that the family may have had to move from their original position due to aftershocks. Maya immediately began coordinating with ground teams in rapid Tagalog, gathering real-time information about the family's current location. Through her extensive communication network, she learned that Williams' family had taken shelter in a partially collapsed school building about half a mile from the original coordinates. "Sir, they moved to grid reference 847 to 332, Maya reported to Mitchell. "The injured girl's condition is deteriorating rapidly. They estimate less than 4 hours before medical intervention becomes critical." As their helicopters circled the new landing zone, Maya continued coordinating with multiple teams simultaneously. She was communicating with Philippine rescue services, maintaining contact with medical personnel at the base hospital, and coordinating with other American rescue teams operating in adjacent areas. The landing zone was treacherous, unstable ground surrounded by debris from recent landslides. As the helicopter touched down, Maya was among the first to exit, her communication equipment secure and ready for immediate deployment. Mitchell watched Maya move through the disaster zone with confidence and purpose. Her tactical awareness, evident yesterday during the exercise, was even more apparent now in a real-world crisis. She navigated debris fields, assessed terrain stability, and established communication posts with the efficiency of an experienced field operator. "Specialist Chun, Master Sergeant Williams' family, is in that building." Mitchell pointed toward a partially collapsed structure about 200 meters away. "We need to establish communication with them before we can plan the extraction." Maya nodded and began setting up her portable communication array. But as she worked, a powerful aftershock struck the area, causing additional debris to fall and temporarily destabilizing their position. During the chaos of the aftershock, Maya's tactical hood was pulled back as she dove for cover, fully exposing her tattoo sleeve for the first time since the mission began. As dust settled and the team regrouped, several rescue personnel saw her tattoos clearly for the first time. But something unexpected happened. Instead of the judgment and skepticism she had grown accustomed to, Maya noticed looks of recognition and understanding from the local Filipino rescue workers. One elderly rescue coordinator approached her, speaking in Tagalog. "Those symbols, they honor survivors of Hiroshima, don't they? And those coordinates, Afghanistan." Maya was surprised by his recognition of specific elements in her tattoo. "Yes, sir. My grandmother survived the bombing, and my father served in Afghanistan." The coordinator's expression became deeply respectful. "My grandfather fought alongside American soldiers in World War II. These tattoos honor military sacrifice across generations." Word spread quickly among the Filipino rescue workers that Maya's tattoos represented family military service spanning multiple wars and generations. Rather than judging her appearance negatively, they began treating her with increased respect and cooperation. Commander Mitchell observed this interaction with fascination. The same tattoos that had generated criticism from some American military personnel were being recognized and honored by Filipino rescue workers who understood their cultural and historical significance. Meanwhile, Maya had successfully established communication with Master Sergeant Williams' family. The injured 8-year-old girl, Sarah Williams, was conscious but in severe pain, with suspected internal bleeding from falling debris. "Maya," Williams' voice came through clearly on the radio. "Thank God someone who speaks Tagalog is coordinating this rescue. The local rescue workers have been trying to help, but the language barrier has been slowing everything down." Maya immediately began coordinating a complex extraction plan that would require precise timing between American and Filipino rescue teams. Her ability to communicate directly with all parties involved eliminated the translation delays that could have proved fatal in such a time-sensitive situation. "Sir, I've coordinated with local teams to clear a path to the building," Maya reported to Mitchell. "But the structure is unstable, and we'll need to extract the family quickly once we enter." The rescue operation that followed showcased Maya's capabilities in ways that no exercise or training demonstration ever could. She coordinated helicopter positioning, managed communication between multiple rescue teams, directed medical personnel, and served as the primary liaison with Filipino authorities, all while operating in an active disaster zone. As the rescue team approached the collapsed building, Maya's cultural knowledge proved as valuable as her technical skills. She helped navigate local customs and protocols that were essential for gaining cooperation from civilian authorities and volunteer rescue workers. Commander Mitchell, leading the tactical extraction, found himself relying heavily on Maya's situational awareness and communication coordination. Her ability to anticipate problems and coordinate solutions was keeping the entire operation running smoothly. When they finally reached the Williams family, the situation was more critical than anticipated. Young Sarah Williams was barely conscious, and her father had sustained injuries while protecting her from falling debris. The extraction would require carefully coordinated movement through unstable terrain while providing continuous medical support. Maya coordinated the evacuation with precision that impressed both American and Filipino rescue personnel. She managed communication between the extraction team, medical helicopter, ground support crews, and base hospital simultaneously, ensuring that medical personnel were prepared for Sarah's arrival and that the helicopter had clear flight paths despite continuing aftershocks. As the helicopter lifted off with the Williams family safely aboard, Maya coordinated the next phase of rescue operations. There were still 2 other groups of Americans requiring extraction, and the communication networks she had established were proving essential for coordinating multiple simultaneous rescue efforts. Throughout the day-long operation, Maya's performance was exceptional. She solved technical problems under extreme pressure, coordinated complex multi-team operations, and served as cultural liaison between American military personnel and Filipino rescue authorities. Her linguistic abilities, cultural knowledge, and technical expertise were the foundation that made the entire rescue operation possible. But, perhaps most significantly, her tattoos had become a bridge rather than a barrier. Filipino rescue workers, understanding the cultural and historical significance of her artwork, treated her with respect and cooperated enthusiastically with her coordination efforts. The same symbols that had drawn criticism from some American military personnel were being honored by people who recognized their deeper meaning. Commander Mitchell witnessed the entire transformation. The soldier he had observed during the exercise, whose capabilities had been questioned due to her appearance, was now the central coordinator for a life-saving humanitarian mission. Her technical excellence, cultural competence, and personal character were undeniable. As the final rescue operations concluded successfully, with all American families safely evacuated and receiving medical care, Maya finally had a moment to reflect on the day's events. She had performed exactly as she had trained to perform, using every skill she had developed throughout her military career. But, more importantly, she had discovered that her tattoos, the artwork that had been a source of professional difficulty, could also be a source of strength and connection when people understood their true meaning. That evening, as rescue teams gathered for debriefing, the atmosphere was different from anything Maya had previously experienced. Instead of judgment and skepticism, she was surrounded by genuine respect from colleagues who had witnessed her capabilities under ultimate pressure. Commander Mitchell approached her during the debrief. "Chun, I've been in special operations for 15 years, and I've rarely seen communication coordination handled with that level of expertise. Today's success was largely due to your performance." Maya felt a wave of emotion, finally experiencing the professional recognition she had always hoped to earn. "Thank you, sir. It means everything to hear that. But, more than that," Mitchell continued, "I want to apologize for any assumptions I might have made when I first saw your tattoos. Today showed me that true military honor can be expressed in ways that don't always fit conventional expectations." As Maya looked around the room, she realized that something fundamental had changed. Her colleagues were no longer seeing her as the communications specialist with questionable tattoos. They were seeing her as the soldier who had helped save American lives through exceptional performance under extreme pressure. The tattoos that had once been sources of judgment had become symbols of the depth of commitment and family military heritage that drove her excellence. The dragons, cherry blossoms, and coordinates weren't just decorative art. They were expressions of the values and history that made her the soldier she had become. For the first time since joining the military, Maya understood that she didn't need to hide or minimize her cultural identity and family history to be accepted. Instead, she needed to continue demonstrating that these aspects of her identity were sources of strength that enhanced rather than diminished her military service. The mission in the Philippines became a turning point that established Maya's reputation based on competence, character, and commitment rather than appearance. And for Commander Mitchell, it was a powerful reminder that the military's greatest strength came from embracing the diverse backgrounds and experiences of exceptional soldiers, regardless of how they chose to honor their family service to their country.